Hello, search for a cure. Just going through some of the things that I have tried. I'm going to talk about gluten-free diets at the moment. Um, it took me quite a while to cotton on to the gluten-free. I did go through a phase with it a few years ago, and thought I would try it, because it was all the rage and it was very trendy to be gluten-free, and I, basically just had gluten-free bread, which was awful, like cardboard, but I didn't really look at packaging or, you know, understand anything about how, certain numbers on the back of your products actually um, have wheat in it, or that glucose is quite often made from wheat. Beer is something that has wheat in it, I think, or barley or something like that. Something's got gluten in it. So that was fine. That was back then. It was before I was diagnosed with fibro. I don't even remember why I did it, but I did recognise last year. So we're in May. Of 2017. So in 2016, I did recognize that when I had certain types of bread, so in particular BAP rolls, I don't know if you get them anywhere other than Australia, I'm not sure, but they're very soft white rolls with this sort of powdery flour on the top of it, really delicious, really soft, kind of melt in your mouth. Whenever I had something like that, like a BAP roll or a roll that was quite soft, or bread that was really super soft, white bread, not wholemeal or whatever, I found that my stiffness was worse the next day. Okay, so I had already kind of cottoned on that there were some things that was beginning to recognise were affecting my fibro and making it worse. So when I read a book, which I'll go into in another video, about gluten, and I decided that I was going to try gluten-free. Things did actually improve, and then when I saw a naturopath, she told me to go gluten-free, dairy-free for the rest of my life. I just couldn't eat those two things, was gluten and dairy, and there would be other things that they might kind of tweak here and there that I would find, but those two things were big triggers for autoimmune disorders, chronic fatigue, fibro, lupus, even arthritis and things like that, which the doctor was also beginning to suspect that I could be heading down that path. So for me, I now do 100% gluten-free, wheat-free, I should say, not gluten-free. I do 100% wheat-free. So I do eat oats, which have gluten in it, but it's a different type of gluten. And very recently I discovered a grain called carosin, which is also known, it's related to a grain called kamut, which does have gluten in it. It has a very low amount of gluten, but it's also, again, it's a very different gluten to what we get in our regular wheat products. Also, all kamut and carosin grains are organic. You cannot get it any other way. So it hasn't been genetically modified, it hasn't been farmed, it hasn't changed, and it hasn't been altered so that you get, like on wheat now, you get really big kernels on wheat now compared to what you did 100 years ago. So those kind of things, no pesticides, any of that sort of stuff. So so far, I mean, I found this kamut loaf yesterday morning, and I think I ate probably 2/3 of a loaf because it was so delicious. It was kind of sweet compared to regular bread, and it was a yellowy color rather than white, and oh my God, it was so good. And I was worried. I was thinking, today I'm going to wake up, tomorrow being today, I was going to wake up with stiffness, and that if that gluten in that bread affected me. I did look at it first. I did go through I did go through, like Google. Google is the world's best invention. Um, and I looked up, gluten in it, and I found a site that suggested that if you had celiac disease that you shouldn't eat it, but if you were gluten intolerant that you could very well tolerate it rather well. Um, like I can tolerate oat bread, um, therefore I may be able to tolerate the Karasan loaf. And so far it's only been 24 hours, so sometimes you can get delayed reactions with allergy or intolerance reactions, so we'll see, but so far it's been okay. Um, and I would highly recommend gluten-free for anyone who has any kind of autoimmune problem or chronic problem or pain or arthritis or anything like that. It's nowhere near as difficult to go gluten-free these days as what it used to be, and there are a lot more alternatives. And again, if you're not celiac, then you could possibly try the oat breads or Karasan. I think there are a few others out there. I've tried buckwheat bread, which doesn't have gluten in it, by the way, but I don't particularly like it. It's not very soft. I didn't really like it. And this Karasan loaf that I just had the flour, the Karasan flour, olive oil, salt, and cultures, and sourdough cultures, and water. So it was, very clean type of bread. And it was really delicious, so I would definitely recommend it even if you're not gluten intolerant. But gluten-free is definitely something that I will continue to do. It does make me feel better, but it is not the cure for fibromyalgia, so I will still keep looking and keep searching for what it is that I believe eventually I will be cured from the fibromyalgia.